What's up, military millionaires? I got asked this comment the other day on YouTube and I wanted to touch on it, and that is financial advice for like an ROTC student and then transitioning into a young officer, right? Because I'm enlisted, but the reality is that officers and ROTC students have some financial advantages, like the fact that they're going to be able to think this out a little bit more than we do. And what I mean is that a lot of enlisted guys go to boot camp at 18, and they get to boot camp, and they do boot camp, and by the time they're out of boot camp, they're at job school, and then they hit the fleet, right? And there's not like a lot of time to think about finances or plan about finances. There's not a whole lot of stuff in the pipeline. And they don't get paid as much, quite frankly. So the officer side has some unique opportunities, right? And, you know, full disclosure, I'm not an officer, but this is the advice that I would give somebody who is going into ROTC and then somebody who is going into commission as a young officer, and what I would do in a perfect world looking back and if I was an officer, right? As always, if you get something out of this, please subscribe and, you know, tell some other service members or vets, like, this is literally going to save you thousands of dollars or make you thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. And I'd hate for you to be the one hiding it from your friends. See what I did there? Yep, that's right. And hit the like button if you got something out of it. I'd really appreciate it. But here we go. Now, again, ultimately, your biggest focus while being an ROTC and then as a young officer is becoming the best officer that you can be. The best leader, the best officer, the best, whatever, delegated, like whatever you look at, the best at your job, and becoming a subject matter expert in all of that. Like, that's your number one job. But you can still work on your finances in the back end. In fact, for the most part, financial education and getting your finances in check is super simple. So like, this won't take away from that. So don't think it's an either or. This is a both. Like, you can learn leadership and be great at your job and be a good officer and get your finances in order. The first thing you need to do is read books, educate. In your spare time, whatever that amount might be, find some time to read books or just listen to books on tape while you drive that can help you with this. So books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a good mindset book, or The Richest Man in Babylon, Set for Life by Scott Trench, The Simple Path to Wealth, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, The 4-Hour Work Week, Never Split the Difference, and eventually my No BS Guide to Military Life, right? Which, shameless plug. But read books, get educated, listen to podcasts, and just start talking about money, right? Like, understand the basics and just get a groundwork and just learn as much as you can whenever you're able to. And then pick a niche or niche that fits you, right? And focus on that. So that could be stocks, that could be real estate, that could be just saving, like the FIRE movement, the financial independence, like living frugally. Whatever that niche is that either really intrigues you or is feasible. Like, real estate might intrigue you, like syndications and stuff, but if you don't have time or you don't have money, maybe like something smaller, stock market, whatever is in your wheelhouse right now. Find a niche that's attainable and entertaining to you or whatever, and just really dive deep on that. Read several books in that specific subject. So if it's rental properties, read the book on rental property investing, long distance real estate investing, the Burr method, like all these like random books on one house at a time or whatever, like real estate books, and focus in on those. And then if it's stocks, read stock market books. And so kind of like become an expert. So you want to go wide and learn personal finance, and then you want to go deep on whatever that niche is that's going to best suit your capabilities at this time. And then you want to network in that. So you want to talk to other people who are in this field and learn. So if you're an ROTC and you're looking at maybe rental properties, find like some local real estate investor associations or meetups, or just network with some local investors, take them out to coffee or whatever, or volunteer on the weekends. And I love this, to like work with them or work for them for free. Like, just say, hey, I'll come, swing a hammer to help you guys out, or I'll nail up some drywall, or let me help paint, or whatever. Like, throw some value at them for free and just kind of learn from what they're doing, and then get around these people and educate yourself a little bit more by doing, right? Because when you take action and you start doing things, you're going to learn it a little bit better. As you get towards the end of ROTC, you're going to want to apply for the Career Starter Loan, which is that like $25,000 or $30,000 loan through USA, Navy, Fed, whoever, that officers get. Yeah, and if you're enlisted and you're watching this, I'm sorry, this is not a thing for us. Officers get, which has like no interest. Apply for it. Take it. It's dirt cheap money. Take it, run with it, but don't go buy a new car with it. Don't go buy crazy things that are going to depreciate in value. Save it for investing, or invest it right away, like smart, not in something super, super risky, right? Because you're paying debt on it. But, maybe you use it as a down payment for a house hack, or if you use a VA loan, maybe you use it as some renovation money for a house hack, or something sound, right? Take the money, invest it intelligently where you, or going to earn more interest, and then ta-da! That's great for starting out. Now you're going to want to read about and understand the power of the VA loan and house hacking, because you're going to want to learn these. No matter what niche you chose, no matter what avenue you chose, you really need to understand the VA loan and house hacking, because these are very, very, very powerful. So then let's say you commission, right? Now you're an officer, you're head of the fleet. You want to, if possible, use the VA loan house hack, right? So buy a large house and get some other lieutenants that are single to be roommates, and then, or buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex and live in one unit and rent the others, or even live in one unit, rent the others, and rent bedrooms out of the one unit, right? Like whatever you can do to house hack so that you used your VA loan or FHA or whatever loan you used your career starter loan to kind of make the place nicer, and you've got roommates, maybe other single lieutenants who make, friends or whatever, who make great roommates or tenants or whatever, and you're getting to live for free essentially while learning how to be a landlord and paying off the principal and just all these other incredible things. Wow, instead of paying money to live in a house, you're breaking even or getting paid to live in this house. So you're learning all this stuff while you're able to take what you would have been spending every penny on the house or housing or whatever and save it to invest it, right? You pay off the career starter loan, pay off any bad debt you have, whatever, but invest, save, invest, save, invest, save, invest. Don't touch that money, right? Like that is going to be the nest egg that fuels your ability to do all this other stuff, because you're living for free or getting paid to live, taking all that money you would have been spending on housing and you're saving it to invest, which is just huge while you're learning all these great skills as far as being a landlord. I think that's like the single greatest thing you could do financially as a young officer. Now, it's not going to make sense in every market. It's not going to make sense for every house. Like, I'm not saying go buy a house at every duty station. I'm not saying buy a house no matter what. But find a house that will make a good investment once you move out, right? Buy it as an investment, not a fancy primary residence, and house hack it. Now, the first thing you want to do, though, is save, like after you do that, save 10 grand for cash reserves. So whether that's money from your career starter loan or your finances or whatever, save $10,000 up for cash reserves. You never know if something's going to happen with that property, so just save 10 grand, stash it, whatever, right? And then save $10,000 as an emergency fund. So now you've got a fund for the property, like cash reserves, and an emergency fund in case something goes wrong. Now, normally, like people talk about like 6 months to a year, like runway for extra finances for your emergency fund, but realistically, as a young lieutenant, unless you get in really big trouble or like a crazy injury, which you probably still get compensated for, like your pay is going to keep going, right? Like you're going to keep getting paid because you've got this good job, you're commissioned, you're kind of stuck whether you like it or not. So you probably don't need a year-long runway on expenses. So like $10,000 will cover the vast majority of anything that could come up, right? So that's your oh shit fund. And then you've got your oh shit fund for your house, the cash reserves, and your oh shit fund for life, the emergency fund. 10 grand, 10 grand, and now you're covered, right? So now you can afford to save a little bit more to invest and take a little bit more risk, because if everything else goes to crap, like you're getting a housing allowance, you got a solid job, you've got a house that's paying for itself, and money to cover expenses on the house, and money to cover emergency fund, you're covered, right? Like you're stable. So no matter what you lose over here on the investor side, your personal life is stable. And that's the important thing, right? All along, you should have been just putting a ton of money into your thrift savings plan, right? I'm a huge advocate for the thrift savings plan. I think the TSP is great. And the earlier you start, the better, right? Because of compound interest. So if you start 7 years earlier at a 10% interest rate, that money will double one extra time, which by the time we're getting to the end here, that could be like the difference between $500,000 and $1 million in your thrift savings plan. Like that's the difference between like $20,000 and $40,000 at retirement every month or every year, right? Like big difference. Now, and those are just random numbers, but look, put money into your thrift savings plan, your Roth, right? I love the Roth thrift savings plan because the idea is with the Roth TSP, you're probably getting paid less now than you will be when retirement happens because you're going to do all these great financial things. You're going to have a lot of money. But you should definitely contribute and try to maximize your Roth TSP before you do anything with the stock market, before you do anything with bonds, before you do anything with all these other accounts, because there's more fees in that mess. You can always roll the TSP into a self-directed IRA later if you want to, but the more money you put in your thrift savings plan up front, the more it's going to compound, the more it's going to grow, and the bigger a nest egg you're giving yourself. So if you just maximize that bad boy for a few years, like your first few years in the Marine Corps, the Navy, or whatever, then that will continue to grow. And then you can take the money you were putting in there, you can either keep putting it in there because it'll just keep growing and it's this great nest egg, or if you stop contributing and you put all that money into other investments, that'll grow on its own. But if you don't put money into it now, you're going to be playing catch up forever. And it's never going to catch all the way up. Like, time is money with compound interest and retirement funds. So I definitely say super fund that, overfund that, maximize whatever. Before you do any of these other crazy stock market securities, investments, TSP, take full advantage, especially if you go anywhere where it's tax exempt, like combat zone or certain hazard zones or whatever, because you can maximize your Roth and you'll never pay taxes because the income won't be taxed, and then neither will the gains or the withdrawals. So like, that's insane. Absolutely maximize it if you end up somewhere that's tax exempt. That's just awesome. Now that you're kind of got this financial base work where you're investing in your thrift savings plan, you've got emergency funds and cash reserves, and you've got a house actually, you're living for free or close to it, and you're learning about landlording, and you're reading about investments, and you're doing all this stuff, you should have been continuing to learn about leadership and efficiency and investing and all this other stuff. And you need to surround yourself with the best leaders and investors and people you can, right? Network with rock stars. That's why, that's the whole reason I created a mastermind group, which, not a plug, but that's what the shirt is. I just noticed I'm wearing that. Kind of convenient. I did another video in it. Anyway, created the mastermind group just to hang out with other service members who are geared towards finance and investing, right? Because that's who I wanted to be around. But you need to hang out, like find the best officers in your command and emulate them. Hang out with them. Get around them as much as you can. Learn from their leadership. Learn from their efficiency. Learn from their styles. Pick and choose those best traits. The negative people, ignore them. Don't hang out with them. The good staff NCOs, listen to them. The shit staff NCOs, don't listen to them. Like, learn the good from the bad, separate it, take all the good stuff, dump all the bad stuff, get the negativity out of your life, and surround yourself with really good, genuine, rock star people. That goes for the real estate world, that goes for the military world, that goes for the investing world, that goes anything you want to do in life. Find the people who are best at it, and the people who've been where you want to go, and emulate them, right? Don't take advice from people who haven't achieved what you want to achieve. Take advice from people who are already there or already on that path, right? And so surround yourself with the best military leaders and surround yourself with the best military investors and the best financial planners, or not planners, but like financial people, and read the best blogs and listen to the best podcasts and watch the best YouTube channels and whatever, right? Like, educate and learn from the best, and then just never stop doing that. Like, you're on a good path here. Don't fuck it up. Like, it's kind of a messed up way to say it, but like, look, you're going to be a good officer. You're going to be good at investing. And if you're smart with your money in the military, you're going to be financially independent, especially if you were a young officer and you did this stuff right off the bat, right? Like, one of the most well set up people I know is an Air Force officer who owns like 20, 30 houses cash and maxes TSP all the time. So he's got like probably millions, if not at least hundreds of thousands, that will be millions when he retires in his thrift savings plan. He's got 20 or 30 houses, he owns house, so millions, and owns cash. He's got cash flow, he's got TSP, he's got smart finances, he lives below his means, and now he's got a pension, he's retired. So like, he's gonna be fine. So if you're smart with this, you'll never have to work again, right? You'll do the military thing, life will be great. Just, focus on being a good officer, right? Absolutely, but don't think that they're mutually exclusive. Like, you can be a great officer and have great finances. You can be a great service member and invest on the side. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Buying a house for your family to live in while you're in the military takes the same amount of time as buying an investment for your family to own and cash flow off. Just make sure you're managing your stuff and don't let all this other stuff get in the way of being a service member, right? Like, that's your number one job. But you can do all the other stuff on the side. Living proof. Hope this helped. If you got something out of this and made it all the way through, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and let me know what other content you want. I feel kind of odd talking about officer stuff when I'm not an officer, but I get asked about it, so I'm giving this as like a command financial specialist conversation where like, this is what I wish that I would see more people doing. So be that smart person. Hit me up like 4 or 5 years down the road when you're that millionaire lieutenant who did all these wonderful things that I'm super jealous. I would love to hear about it. I'd love to share your story. So make sure you let me know. Have a great day.